Hello and welcome to the first episode of Kids Talk Hockey. My name is Ben. This is my co-host Max. And
Hello.
this is our very first video. In this we will be talking about anything from cool things we find on Instagram to news. And hopefully in the future we can have stars like players from junior and pro levels come and let us interview them. So today we will be talking about the top 10 left wingers and centers in the NHL. So two separate top 10s. I found my list off of NHL discussion, and Max made his own list, which he has. And we will be talking stats, and we will be talking brain, and we will be talking a case for each player on why they should be in the top 10. All right, so without further ado, let's get into first the top 10 left wingers in the NHL right now. At number 10, I have Jake Guentzel, 20 goals, 23 assists, 43 points in only 38 games. So, still over a point per game, but you have to take into account that he got injured really badly and missed over half the season. So you can't say that he's been bad, but a thing that I didn't like is that he didn't show that explosiveness that he showed even around 2017 with the cup-winning Pittsburgh Penguins.
At number 10, I have Kyle Connor. So 73 points in 71 games means he's above a point per game player. His plus minus also this season looked better than his previous season, so the positive 4. And he's 23, which means he has a lot of room to grow in the future. And in his last 5 games, he has 7 points, which is not bad, including a 2-goal game against Edmonton and a 3-point game against Buffalo. And when you look at his previous seasons, this is one of the seasons where he's played to his potential. 71, again, more than a point per game. Last season, he had 20 less points in games played. And I definitely think he deserves a spot in the top 10 right now.
Yeah. For number 9, I have Matthew Tkachuk. 23 goals, 38 assists, 61 points in 68 games. A bit lower than a point per game player, but granted, this is only his third season, I believe, in the NHL. And another thing that is a factor that plays that plays into his character is that he takes a lot of penalties, and especially most notably against Zach Kassian and Drew Doughty. Yeah. If you haven't seen those clips, watch him because he does really cool stuff. But again, this season has been shortened. Main reason my YouTube channel, edit that. And that's it. That's all I have for him. So who do you have at number 9?
I got Claude Giroux. He's the second oldest guy I have on the list, or maybe third. But anyway, 53 points in 69 games. Obviously, doesn't sound like a top 10 guy. But in his career, it's 43 plus minus, which means he's on the ice a lot more than he is letting up goals. He's not the type of guy that will stand around. He's a winger that will pitch in, and he'll show that he's not just a winger. He is a two-way forward. His points haven't been what they have been in previous years, obviously because of his age. But again, he has games where he shows he's a top 10 player. He's had 2-goal games against some great teams so far this season. He's been healthy the last 3 seasons. He's played full 82-game seasons, and he's almost broke the 70 mark a number of times. And again, points aren't just what shows how good a winger is. It's things like plus minus and shooting percentage and not taking a lot of penalty minutes that also can be factored in. That's why I have him at 9.
Yeah. Now, number 8 is the only player who I don't like to see on this list, and that is Taylor Hall. he had 52 points in 65 games, and on its own, that's pretty good. But he has 36 assists, which is great. Like, you always want to see that leader pass the puck. But he only has 16 goals. Definitely not up to his standards at Edmonton or New Jersey. Well, granted, he did get traded from New Jersey to Arizona in the middle of the year, and he needed time to develop with and work and get that line chemistry and get everything going for him at Arizona. But I still don't see him in that top 10 because at New Jersey and Edmonton, he used to blow right. He was one of the fastest players in the league. Now at 16 goals, this isn't like this isn't the scoring pace that a fast player should be scoring at. He should be scoring at 25 to 35 goal pace.
At 8, I have Gabriel Landeskog. Since his beginning in the NHL, he's always been a great player. In 2011, he won the Calder Memorial for the best rookie. And not to mention 10 points in his last 5 games. That is some of the best stats you'll see so far in the league. He has 44 points in 54 games, which, I mean, he has missed about 20 games, which obviously hurts his stats a little bit. And people can argue, yeah, he's playing with McKinnon. But that line, Colorado's Avalanche's first line, is top 3 in the NHL by far. And you could argue McKinnon and Landeskog for one of the top 5 duos in the NHL. And obviously working with McKinnon is going to get him a lot of points. But he's 2 goals off of 200 in his career. He has 460 total points, and he's also 27. And I think he's a top 10 left winger by far.
Yeah. Keep in mind he's also playing with Rantanen, who's also really good.
Yeah.
So it should be like the second best trio in the league after the Bruins. If you don't know, I'm a Rangers fan. He's a Bruins fan. And at number 7, I have Kyle Connor. Max already pointed him out earlier, but again, 38 goals, 35 assists, 73 points in 71 games played. He is by far one of the most underrated players in this league, and especially on the Jets, because when you look at the Jets, they have so many stars. They have Laine, Wheeler, Scheifele, and Connor Hellebuck is backing them up. So no one really gets to hear from Kyle Connor that much. But he's that like dark force that has helped the Winnipeg Jets so much.
Number 7, I had Jake Gutsenetzel. You talked about him earlier. I could, if this was any other player in the National Hockey League, yeah, I'd talk about his last 5 games. I never talk about playoff stats a lot, but I have to here. In his 2016-17 playoff run, 21 points in 25 games. Keep in mind, he was 23, putting up almost a point per game in the playoffs, which is for the best teams. In 2017, he had 21 points in 12 games, playoff points. Again, that's 9 more points in games played in the playoffs. A lot of you guys aren't going to agree with me on this because you're going to say Matt Murray or Fleury, but I think he should have won the Conn Smythe for the Penguins. And he's a great player. A Stanley Cup obviously shows that, but in the playoffs, he just showed what a great player he could be. And yeah, he's averaging more than a point per game right now, but he can be a better player, and I'd like to see that from him.
Yeah. At number 6, another very unpopular one, in my opinion, Johnny Gaudreau. 58 points in 70 games played, pretty good. 40 assists, really good. 18 goals, not that good. Especially considering that he is less than 5'10". He is a small guy, and last year he scored 99 points. He was one shy of 100. And 100 points is amazing. 99 points is also really good. And just having 58 points, he dropped off a cliff. Well, granted, in defense, Calgary did have a major coaching change that was very abrupt. and that could have halted Goudreau's playing, but I just don't see how he could be in this top 10 only having 18 goals and being such a small and fast guy.
At number 6, I had Matthew Tkachuk. One thing I really like about him, other than just watching him, is when he joined the NHL, he showed what a confident player looks like. If you look at the NHL season debuts for players, they have like 4 penalty minutes because they're scared to pitch in and try to make play the body. Kachuk is the complete opposite of that. 105 penalty minutes in his first season. Yeah, that looks bad on him, but also shows you what a confident player looks like. And 61 points in 69 games for a forward that likes to use his body is not bad at all. He pretty much has hockey in his bloodline. His dad played, his brother plays. It's
His
pretty cool
uncle
to
played.
watch. Yeah. So 40. His lowest season is 48 points, and that's his rookie season. So that's crazy for a player, and I want to see more of him.
Yeah. At number 5, I have Jonathan Huberdeau, another underrated player. 23 goals, 55 assists. That's amazing. 78 points in 69 games played. No one talks about him, mainly because Florida's like that team that no one talks about. But it's surprising that like in Florida, they are where they are just being carried off the backs of Barkov and Huberdeau. Because if people have noticed, Bobrovsky hasn't helped that much. And the memes show it. But like also 78 points, that is amazing for a player who before this season we didn't really know that much.
Yep. At number 5, I also have Huberdeau, and I'm not gonna just repeat the stats that you said, but you pretty much hit all the points there. The sad thing about him is, I can't see him playing that many playoff games. I feel people that play in Florida usually stay there for a long time. He's only had 6 playoff games in his career, and I wish he would have more of a chance to express himself, other than the regular season. But putting up 92 points for the Florida Panthers is really good. I can't wait to see what kind of a player he'll be. Also won the Calder in 2012, 2013. He's pretty much an offensive wizard. That's what I call him.
Yeah. A player who I personally don't like as a Rangers fan, but at number 4, Claude Giroux, 21 goals, 32 points, 32 assists, 53 points. What am I talking about? In 69 games played, he is aging. But what he proves is that age is just the number. It doesn't matter, especially on such an aging team like Philadelphia, where they have Shane Ghost Bear. Oh God, Ghost Bear. Shane Ghost Bear, is really old. Voracek is really old. Oh God. But they are getting some young help. Nolan Patrick, Travis Konechny, Morgan Frost, Joel Farabee. But it's like amazing that Claude Giroux still continues to put up consistent 50-point seasons at such an old age.
I know you put Goudreau a lot earlier, but I put him at number 4, and he was an NHL All-Star in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. So that's 5 All-Star games in a row, and that's when he was really young. So he's 26 now. So he was in an All-Star game at 21, which is really crazy for a new player in the NHL. 58 points in 70 games. He's not the biggest scorer, and I can see that, but he does put up a lot of points, especially a lot of assists. And for a 4th round pick, yeah, that's number 4. That's really good steal for Calgary. That's it.
All right. Oh God. At number 3, I have everyone's favorite rat, his favorite player, Brad Marchand, 28 goals, 59 assists, 87 points in just 70 games. This guy knows how to play. Granted, he's playing with Bergeron and Pastrnak, but again, he hit 100 points last season. He's on pace to do it again, and I definitely would put him at number 3, and maybe even at number 2.
At number 3, I have Artemi Panarin. I personally think, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I don't think that the Rangers are the best team for him. Unlike football and basketball and baseball, if you have LeBron James or Tom Brady, you're going to be carried to the playoffs and maybe the finals. But that's not the way it works in hockey. You could have Artemi Panarin, who has 95 points in 69 games, and you're not going to make they're going to make the playoffs, but I can't see them getting very far. He has multiple games where he has a hat trick of assists, which is really great, especially against Washington. That looks great. And he's a very, I don't know how to put this, but disciplined player. He doesn't take many penalties, and when he does take a penalty, it's one that's going to save a goal or pretty much educated penalties. That's it.
Oh, God. At number 2, I have Alex Ovechkin. Just hit 700 goals. Congratulations. The thing is, he has 67 points. Great in 68 games played. So he's under a point per game, but he has 48 goals. That's phenomenal. He's on pace for over 50. Maybe could even hit 55. I wouldn't think 60, but possibly turns it on. But the disappointing thing is he has 19 assists. That's not good, especially for a captain. You lead by example, and although scoring is a big factor, you also want to maintain that balance of shooting and passing. Especially like Artemi Panarin, who knows when to shoot, knows when to pass, and has that vision, and that IQ. Alex Ovechkin, even though he's been playing for so long, he just hasn't figured out that right balance.
Not to mention, he's got the deadly slap shot on the power play.
Oh yeah.
At number two, I have Brad Marchand, everybody's favorite rat, or actually least favorite rat. He's a left wing that puts himself out into the game and gets in people's heads, and everybody can be like, "Oh, he's a rat. Oh, he sucks." He put up 100 points last season, like you mentioned, which is more than Patrick Kane and a bunch of other Sidney Crosby, a bunch of other great National Hockey League players. Unfortunately, the only award he's won is a Stanley Cup. Not unfortunately. Hopefully, we almost won it last year. I can see us winning it in the next 5 years, 100%. And yes, but actually, in terms of penalties, he hasn't had a season where he's had more than 100 penalty minutes, which, yeah, he's had suspensions, but that's pretty disciplined for a player putting up that many points.
Yeah. At number 1, I have who Max put at number 3, the breadman, Artemi Panarin.
Overpaid.
He's not and that's what I was going to talk about. 95 points most definitely lived up to the contract. He is not overpaid. That is just right. If you would have been given more money, I would have been storming to Madison Square Garden and demanding that he would be getting lower money, because like he's like one of the highest. He earns like close to 12 million a year. Like that's insane. But also he's number 1 because he is such a playmaker. And yes, I agree with you, Max. The Rangers if the Rangers will make it to the playoffs, they will not make it far. The Rangers fan says so. Hey, I mean, you look at everyone else, and the Rangers aren't planned. It's not on their agenda to win the Stanley Cup this year. In future years, maybe. But also,
Much better improvement from last year.
yeah, exactly. Like last year, they were like one of the last place teams. They got second overall, and
As long as you're improving.
yeah, exactly. Which is why I think Artemi Panarin definitely deserves number one because he has been that playmaker. It doesn't matter what line he's on; he makes everyone work 150%, and he and again, as Max said, he's disciplined. He doesn't take that many penalties, and when he does, it's just educated penalties. Um, and very surprising from a player who actually went undrafted.
Number one, I have the grade 8, Alexander Ovechkin. This is probably one of the only guys, if maybe there's 3 guys in the NHL, I could say for sure his jersey is going to be retired. He's going to be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. He'll probably be the best player to ever play for the Washington Capitals. He has more than a point per game in his career. And saying that he's a 34-year-old player, that's really good. So many awards I could go over. So many different things I could go over. It's his career and awards are endless. Anart Ross, so many Murray, so many Murray assists for the most goals. 3 Ted Lindsays, 3 Harts, a Conn Smythe, a Calder, and a Stanley Cup. Pretty much this is a career you dream about when you're a kid playing hockey and you're a forward. This is the career that you're going to dream of. And if he was a center, I imagine how many points he'd put up from all those face-offs. When he has to pitch in for face-offs, he'll win it. And definitely the best one-timer in the National Hockey League. No goalies can see it. It's a deadly weapon that the Capitals have. And if it wasn't for Ovechkin, they'd probably be last for power play percentage in the league.
Yeah. So that was the top 10 left wingers. We still have to do top 10 centers. A reminder that you guys, the people watching, smash the like button, subscribe button helps us a lot. And also you guys can make your own lists of top 10 anythings. We will read the comments.
And maybe review them.
Yeah, exactly. And if you guys want to know like how educated we are, we really like hockey. We're both goalies and we play at high levels. Yeah. We play at high levels. We're both goalies. And we've been following hockey since we were like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And now let's do the top 10 centers in the NHL. Starting at number 10.
It's gonna be fun.
Yes, it is going to be very fun because he has a very different list than I do. Because at number 10, I have Ryan O'Reilly, 61 points in 71 games played, under a point per game by a large margin. 49 assists, most definitely gonna reach 50, but he only has 12 goals, which is the issue, and which is why I think that someone like Tyler Seguin or Steven Stamkos should have taken his place at number 10 instead of Ryan O'Reilly. But I'll give him his credit. He is by far one in the top 5 for best two-way forwards in the National Hockey League. He can play defense, he can play offense, he can play power play, he can play every situation imagined. What's not to like about him, which is why I think NHL discussion has put him at number
10. Number 10, I have Elias Pettersson, especially a 21-year-old in Vancouver, putting up almost a point per game. If the season were to continue, there's a good chance he could break the 80-point mark, which is unbelievable for a 21-year-old. And in his recent games, he's had some great points. When you're playing against really young goalies that have been performing up to their expectations above them and putting up 3 points against them, that's great. He could score if they need to. He could get points if they need to. They could defend if they need to. He's played 2 seasons. Both seasons he has 66 points. So that's great for him. a Calder Memorial for the best rookie. Definitely deserved that. He definitely wasted no time. He came right into the NHL, showed them what they need. And if he was a little bit older and I could see how he would play in the future, I would have no problem putting him at like 5.
Yeah. So at number 9, I have Max's second favorite player, Patrice Bergeron. 31 goals, 25 assists, 56 points in 61 games played, still under a point per game. But he is up there with O'Reilly's by far one of the best two-way centers in the league right now. Could even be pushing number 1. But that's another topic for future videos. But I agree at having him at number 9 because he's not young. He is pretty old. And he consistently puts up the points that the Boston Bruins need, and especially putting him on that first line, is just a points machine, and that's like really helped him.
Number 9, I have probably someone you might want a little bit higher, but Mika Zibanejad, 5-goal game against Washington. That's all I could say. That was definitely unexpected. It definitely raised my expectations for him. I now like watching him actually. That's crazy though. And so Zibanejad 5-goal game against Washington, and he also shows that he can fit into different situations. 2 of the 5 goals were power play goals, and he's a disciplined player. He is definitely good for the younger guys, especially goalies growing in New York. And this is definitely one of his better seasons. The reason why he's not higher is because some of his seasons, 20 points, 23 points, 25 points. He is not a player for points. He's more of a player for different situations. He fits into most of the Ranger schemes. And, yeah, his face-off percentage, his shooting percentage, that's what really matters in center.
At number 8, I have Elias Pettersson. Max said basically everything. 66 points. He could definitely be pushing 80 if it weren't for this shortened season. And yeah, that's basically all I have to say about him.
All right. I had to do a lot of editing here. There's a lot of players who are fighting for this spot, but I have to give it to Tyler Seguin. Yes, I am a little bit biased that he did win the cup with the Bruins, and I'm so sad that he left. I love watching him play, even though I'm not a big Dallas fan. 50 points, 69 games. Okay, so 635 points in 741 games. Pretty good. He has not been performing like anything mind-blowing in his last 5. He has 1 point. But some of his past seasons, he's a healthy player. He's played 3 full seasons in his last 3 years. He's become more healthy as he's grown as a player. Again, Stanley Cup, can't argue with that. A great way to start off your career with the Stanley Cup. And I can't wait to see what kind of a player he'll evolve into.
All right. At number 7, I have Evgeny Malkin. 25 goals, 49 assists, 74 points in 55 games played. Well over a point per game, was injured, already has more points than a bunch of players already on this list. And again, age is just a number. He is old in hockey terms. And he constantly just puts up those points.
Number 7, I have Ryan O'Reilly. It hurts to say as a Bruins fan, but he's a great player. Points, again, 61 points in 71 games. Yeah, all right. But when you really look at him, he won the Conn Smythe. He's a Stanley Cup champion. He shows what kind of a player he could be. He's had some great seasons where he's hit 40 points, some with 50 points. If he were to play complete seasons, he could probably have more than that. But when you really look at the way he plays, he shuts down some of the Bruins' best players so easily. Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron, David Pastrnak, Jake DeBrusk, David Krejci. Nordstrom. There's so many players that he does it so effortlessly.
Yeah. I agree, by the way. And at number 6, the only reason Buffalo is not having the same number of points as Detroit, Jack Eichel. 36 goals, 42 assists, 78 points. One of those like career makers. His number, if he stays at Buffalo, his number is gonna be raised in the rafters. He is that overall he's that like overall scoring machine. He can do anything and everything with the puck, and it's a shocker that the Buffalo Sabres are where they are, just being carried off the backs of Jack Eichel. Because let's be honest, if Jack Eichel weren't on the Buffalo Sabres, the Buffalo Sabres could have been getting first overall for a long time.
Number 6, I have Leon Draisaitl. There's reasons why I didn't put him higher, and it's yes, his points show otherwise, but it's not all about points as a center. 110 points in 71 games tells me otherwise. If the season were to continue, he could be around 150 points. That could break records in the last 10 years. He's exactly a point per game in his career. 422 points, 422 games. For a third overall pick, that's great. He has been struggling in a few of his last games. Don't know why. But before for the beginning part of the season, he really showed what kind of a player he could be, pushing some of the best, Pastrnak and Ovechkin, for points. And 110 points so far this season. Last season at 105. There's never really a season where he fails to impress me.
Yeah, at number 5, I also have Leon Draisaitl. Max basically said everything, but there's been like some controversy surrounding him that like, oh, he's only getting points because McDavid's on his line. But like, no, Leon Draisaitl is a great player. He was third overall. That's something. He plays on the line with McDavid. It's a privilege, but he makes McDavid work, and McDavid makes him work, and that's why combined they're the best duo in the league.
Number 5, I have Alexander Barkov again. Not playing for one of the best teams right now, but 62 points in 66 games. That's not something you can really argue with. No points in his last 5. Don't know what's happening there. But overall in his career, he's put up some pretty impressive points. 96-point season last year for a Florida Panthers player. That's great. And personally, I like to believe that the Panthers can become a more frequent playoff team when you got guys like Barkov and Huberdeau playing to their best. This is a really good team, and you can't really shut them down when they're playing that well. And overall, Lady Byng Memorial winner. I mean, pretty good career so far, and it would be nice to squeeze in a cup, or at least a cup run somewhere in there.
Yeah. At number 4, there's Austin Matthews, 47 goals, 33 assists, 80 points. Gonna hit all of his career highs by next morning if the season continues. And he's just like overall player that the Toronto Maple Leafs needed to have. And in 2016, they got that blessing of that first overall pick, and they selected Austin Matthews, and he's been nothing but great.
Number 4, I have the great Patrice Bergeron. All right. 56 points, 61 games. 1, 201 plus minus. 2, face-off percentage is almost always above 50%. 3, he's allowed players like Pastrnak and Marchand to grow as they join the team. 4, I could go on. 4 Selkies. He's tied for number 1 in all time. And he's 34, so I could see him playing at least another 5 seasons where he could win 1, 2, 3, and have the most maybe in NHL history, maybe forever. A King Clancy Memorial, a Stanley Cup. He's awesome to watch. He shuts down players effortlessly, especially in the playoffs last year against Toronto. Matthews comes down, poke check. Marner comes down, stick lift. He does it so easily. If it wasn't for him, they would not have gone as far as they did last year.
At number 3, I have Nathan McKinnon, 35 goals, 58 assists, 93 points. He is that franchise leader for the Colorado Avalanche, and I can definitely see him eclipsing over 110 points this season.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Can't argue. McKinnon's a great player. Nothing more.
Yeah. At number 2, I have Sidney Crosby, 16 goals, not that much, 31 assists, okay, 47 points in 41 games. Granted, he was injured. Also, granted, forget what I said about Bergeron pushing number 1. Sidney Crosby by far is the best two-way player two-way center in the National Hockey League. And he has that great hockey IQ. If you've watched any hockey replays, Sidney Crosby did that off the back of the net bank to get away from a defender and passed for a goal, and he's just been amazing.
I'm pretty sure we have the same top 3. He's 100 NHL greatest player, and that's competing with players all the way back in 1917. He has almost 300 more points in games played. Nova Scotia native, awesome to watch.
Yeah, and at number 1, everyone's number 1, let's face it, Connor McDavid, 97 points, best player in the world. He was granted exceptional status into the QMJHL, and that is for people who will be those generational talents. And I definitely see Connor McDavid as 100% one of those generational talents.
Back to McDavid really quickly. 2 Rosses, 2 Ted Lindsays, and a Hart Memorial. And keep in mind, the kid's young. He's 23 years old. For a 23-year-old, you can't ask for much more.
Yeah. So that is it for this video. Thank you very much. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really like this video. You guys leave a comment down below. We will read the comments. And also you guys can make your own top 10s of everything, of anything and everything, and we will most definitely read them. Thank you.
And next episode, you got right wings and goalies.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys.